existing platforms. What does that mean? Existing platforms, websites, web applications, social media networks with tens of thousands of users, millions of users, potentially billions of users that you can leverage for your business to get traction. And let's talk about some of the different tips and different ways that businesses have done this successfully. So to start, the first tip here is to think about what are the benefits for your end user. We've talked a little bit about persona targeting, so you know your customers better than most. You can use Google Analytics data, you can use Search Console data, or you can just talk to your customers and figure out how did you hear about us? How did you find out about our business? And also ask, what networks or what social networks do you spend time on? When you have a question, do you go to YouTube to get the answer in a video format, or do you ask Reddit, for example? So understanding where your customers are hanging out will definitely help you understand first what platforms you should leverage. Sounds like a simple concept, but it's easy to get distracted. Like Pinterest, that seems like a cool thing to test. Let's build a calculator that we can plug into Pinterest. Well, if your customers, or a very small percentage of your customers, are spending time on Pinterest, then it might not make sense. And when resources are so limited, when you're growing a business, when you're trying to get traction, understanding where those traction channels are is going to be really key. Tip number 2, add value. Existing platforms, people are there because they're already doing something really well. If it's Reddit, they're sourcing questions. If it's YouTube, it's serving up great video. But are there ways, or are there areas that these platforms just aren't really delivering for your specific customers? A good example might be in the early 2000s, you might remember MySpace. Some of you might not know what I'm talking about. MySpace, the video uploading experience was awful. Then we heard from a little company called YouTube, and what YouTube did was integrated with an existing platform, with MySpace, to make it really easy for users to upload those videos. So if you had a link, you didn't have to try to upload this 10 gigabyte video to the internet. How does that work, especially in the early 2000s? So YouTube came in, and and YouTube, make no mistake, was built on top of other existing platforms. Like Adobe had a video product that YouTube just sort of spun off from, and anyway, that's another story. But existing platforms, so add value to customers. So YouTube added value to customers on MySpace by making it easy to upload video. And then users on MySpace were sort of interested in, okay, what is YouTube all about? You've probably seen it on places like WordPress. Makes it extremely simple. You just attach a link, and then boom, your video is live. You don't have to upload it. Same thing in the early days of Facebook. Facebook now wants to host their own video because they, of course, might fear building your product on the back of its platform. Zynga is a game app. If you're interested about how Facebook has sort of crushed its competition when trying to build on their platform, Zynga might be a good example. And tip number 3, focus on a new platform. We haven't talked much about the law of crappy click-through rates. It's actually not crappy, it's another word, but the law of crappy click-through rates states that the earlier a marketer gets onto a platform, or the earlier that a marketer tests a new ad inventory or placement, for example, Instagram. Instagram started advertising, at least opening it up to all publishers, in 2015. That wasn't all that long ago. And I remember running the early Instagram ads for different colleges, for different businesses. We saw amazing results. Fast forward to 2019, we're lucky if we can get a 3% click-through rate on some of our placements, simply because users get fatigued. So thinking about how some of those early platforms, different than Facebook, might be much more open to you adding value to their platform in a helpful way. I mean, think about a team of 10 that is hustling to put together a new web app, or a new Google Chrome extension, or a new WordPress feature, and you see some opportunity to continue to add value. Working with that company of 10 is going to be a lot easier than trying to partner with a company of 10,000 and convincing them that you can provide value that they can't just spin up in a weekend boot camp with their developers. Existing platforms is, like I said, an interesting traction channel. As we sift through the book, it's one that I think businesses would need to really think hard about embarking on before setting off on the journey to partner with a platform. If you're going to be, for example, part of the Shopify App Store, understand that comes with some responsibilities. Like, you have to keep your web app updated with Shopify and the new themes, and you have to support Shopify users, and you have to ask yourself, are Shopify website builders in line with our target audience? Same is true of WordPress and any of those types of things. So if you're an enterprise company looking for enterprise solutions and enterprise pricing, building on top of existing platforms may not be the best move for you. So think hard about your customer, think hard about the platform that you're building on, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll link up some of those examples in the show notes here. Thanks a lot, and hope you enjoyed it.